Hello, hello, hello. It's me, your Canva creation coach, Lenidra, and I want to thank you all for joining me this evening and welcome to tonight's live interview and tutorial. We are in for a special treat tonight, so I'm going to give you ladies an opportunity to get the notifications so that you can hop inside of this meeting with me, and then we will get started. Once you are here, go ahead and drop those comments. Let me know who is joining me tonight. And all right, I'm already starting to see the hellos coming in. I see some of my original teaching queens joining us tonight. Awesome. For those of you that want your name to be able to be shown up, please make sure that you give StreamYard the permission to see your name so that I can throw your comments up on the screen and we can get started. All righty. So, we've been going through our journey through Canva and we've been talking all things Canva lately. So tonight we are focusing on something really, really special and I'm really excited. But before we get into that, let me go ahead and officially introduce myself because we have so many new teaching queens and teaching kings now since the group is open to our men that are joining us. So I am Lenidra Johnson. I am an educator with Broward County Public Schools. I am in my 20th year of teaching. Every time I say 20, I shake because I cannot believe that it's been 20 years. All righty. I am also a Canva creation coach. I teach educators and teacherpreneurs how to use their skills, their creativity, their knowledge, and their passion so that they can create their own meaningful, useful, and engaging resources right inside of Canva. I am also an AI prompt engineer. I create beautiful art with my words. All righty. So we've been spending a lot of time doing that inside of the group. And I'm a lot of other things with Canva. I'm a Canva Canvassador. I'm a Canva education creator. So if you know me, you know I love Canva. All righty. So I am starting to see some of our teaching queens come in. Thank you so much, Maxine. Maxine has been rocking with me from the beginning. And this is also letting me know that I am actually inside of Facebook. If you are on my Facebook business page, welcome. This is actually my very first time going live on my business page. All righty. And also on my YouTube channel. So I'm kind of like shaking right now. I've never gone live in my YouTube channel, but I want to start building up that community and sharing all of the wonderful things about Canva, not just to my community on Facebook, but also on YouTube. And eventually I'll work my way over with being more engaging and doing live streams for my community on Instagram. We also have a guest community here, the community of my beautiful co-host for today. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. All righty. So we are about to get started. So before we get started, I want to make sure that everybody understands why we are here. We are here to talk about adding your brand voice to your Canva creations. All righty. I have a community of teachers. I have a community of teacherpreneurs. A lot of times we think about our brand just being for, businesses and big companies and corporations. But I want us to understand today why our brand and our brand voice is important to us as teacherpreneurs and even as teachers. When I first started this community, I was talking about how we can use Canva to brand our classrooms. That's actually one of the lives I did years ago when I started this group back in 2020. We talked about branding our classrooms, and a lot of people were asking, how do I brand my classroom? Like, it's not a business. I'm a teacher. I'm in the classroom. Well, I have the perfect person tonight to help us understand why we can and we should brand ourselves as teachers and as teacherpreneurs. So after our amazing interview, I am going to still do our live tutorial tonight where I'm going to jump inside of my Canva Creation Lab and show you how you can take what you have learned or what you will learn from our special guest tonight and then incorporate that into your Canva creations. All righty. So I am going to go ahead and bring our special guest to the stage. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, good evening. Hey. Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you doing tonight?
I am fantastic. I am ready to talk about branding. I eat, sleep, and drink and everything else branding. So I am locked, loaded, and ready to give you the deets.
This is so exciting. Everyone, I was telling Peachy today before we got on here that just as I had put inside of my group that we were going to be focusing on adding our brand voice to Canva, the next day I'm on my timeline and I see her pop up with something about branding. And I know that like she is the guru of branding. So I can't talk about adding your brand voice to your Canva creations without talking to the queen of branding. All righty. So that is what we are going to be talking about tonight. Again, welcome. And we are going to go ahead and get started with our interview. All righty. So the first thing I would love for you to share with us is what inspired you to become a brand strategist, or I love it, a brand voice builder.
Yes, I am known as the brand voice builder. It is trademarked. That's very
Love
important.
that.
So don't use it because I will sue you. No.
All right.
um,
All right.
but no. I like to consider myself more of a creative brand strategist because I don't just do brand strategy, but I do all the things, creative. We work with AI, we do the copywriting and all those things. And when you talk about brand strategy, it's more of just, marketing messages. And I do so much more than that. I take campaigns from inception to completion. So that's a little bit more than just a brand strategist. But
Okay.
I got into that because I'm a copywriter by trade. And um, when you copyright, a lot of people don't realize that copywriters drive creative. When you're working in big firms, advertising firms, and things of that nature, the copywriter comes up with the concept. And then the creative, the graphic designers, they bring it to life. They bring the words to life, almost like an AI. So,
Mm-hmm.
when you're working as a team or things like that, and I just started getting into the management part of driving the brands and coming up with those concepts and things of that nature, it just became second nature to me.
Okay, I love that. And I love the trademark. So ladies and gentlemen, please don't let her have to come after you. She has trademark
Don't do
brand
it.
voice.
Don't do it. Please don't do
Love
it.
that. She will come after you. Do not come after her and her brand. All righty. So I
Don't come for
love
me if
that.
I don't send for you.
I love that. Next, I want to know like what exactly is a brand voice and like how does it differ from maybe other aspects of branding? Because that's what we're focusing on tonight, our brand's voice.
Okay, so brand voice basically is, let me give you a good example. So, say you and I, we're speaking in our authentic voices. Brand
Mhm.
voice is the same thing. Every brand has a voice. And when you look at brands, good brand voices, you can tell what the brand is without them even saying anything. You can look at a billboard that has just a picture on it. You don't even have to see the Nike check and you know that it's Nike. You can look
Mm.
at something immediately and know that it's Target or Burger King. And of course you have the brand colors and things that kind of bring it to life, but it's how you speak to your audience and how you connect with them emotionally. Brand voice is very important, but one of the things I need people to understand is you can't have a good brand voice if you don't have a good solid brand core foundation.
I like that. And I love that you gave a few examples. When I did a group coaching program that I did a while ago, and we were talking about setting up our brand kit, because I always tell anyone that's like, I'm brand new to Canva, I don't know where to begin. The first thing I always say is set up your brand kit, because that
Mhm.
is going to take so much time away from when it's time for you to start creating and thinking about, okay, I want to implement certain colors and I want to make sure that it looks like me. Having your brand kit set up is going to be so important to that. And one thing for setting up your brand kit, before they did the brand voice, which is a new feature of Canva, they had logos. So I would
Mhm.
always say, think about McDonald's, think about Nike, think about Netflix. When you see that logo, when you see the colors, when you see the certain font, you know it's from that brand without having to read the name of the brand. So that lines up perfectly with what you just said. All righty. So I want you all to think about that. And some words that I pulled out that I love you said, authentic.
Mhm.
How do you speak to the people in your audience, how you connect with them. So I want you all to think about that when you are creating your Canva creations. You want to be authentic. How we're speaking to each other, how you speak to your students, how you speak to the your clients. You want to be authentic when speaking with them. So that was awesome. All righty. Why is it crucial for teachers and teacherpreneurs to establish a strong brand identity?
Well, it's important because I don't think people understand the magnitude of what a brand is. I think everybody is a brand. You are a brand. We are a brand. And teachers, especially, and I'm a former teacher, so I can speak on this in depth. brand, you're a walking brand. From the moment you step foot in your classroom, how you dress your classroom, how you speak to the parents during parent teacher night, how you actually speak to your students, the things that you write on the board, the worksheets that you design and create in Canva, all those things, that is part of your brand identity. I think, and I just want to back up a little bit because we're talking about branding and brand voice, but branding, essentially, you have to think overall. You have to have a strong brand identity, like I said before, but there are three different elements to the brand identity, and I call it the three C's of brand identity, and that's core, communication, and creative. And so when you have your core, that's the beginning. You can't come up with a good brand voice until you have a strong brand core, like I said. But when you get to that communication, that's when the brand voice comes in. I think a lot of graphic designers, and maybe they just don't know, but a lot of times they do people a disservice because they immediately migrate to the logos and the colors and all those things. And you really shouldn't be doing any of that without establishing your brand identity. You can't establish your brand identity until you have all those factors in place. A lot of times people don't even realize, like a lot of companies, they don't even name their brands without that brand identity in place. A lot of times people just pull the name of a company out of the hat, and a lot of times it sticks. But then a lot of times you see brands, they don't resonate with their audience, and it's because they didn't do the background work to make sure that they're authentically connecting in their voice, with their voice and their personality. I know that sounds like a lot, but
I like that though, resonating with your audience. So even as a teacher, our audience, our students, our parents, the community that we're creating these things for. I'm thinking about newsletters and things like that we're sending outside of our classroom. They represent us. So you want to resonate with them. I like the three C's that you mentioned. I wrote that down. You said core, communication, and creative, right?
Yes.
All right. I love that. So teachers, and I'm so happy that you're here because like I said, when I first started this, I was talking about branding your classroom, and now it's coming together. What we create in our classroom at the beginning of the year, the first thing we want to do is we're decorating our classrooms. That's a part of our brand. We love, especially in the elementary, we love having a good theme, a color theme or some type of a theme. We're branding our classroom. And as teacherpreneurs, you're in business. You're creating a business. So you want to resonate with your audience, whomever that may be. Your audience may still be children or it may be adults, but you want to resonate with them. I love that. Thank you so much. Next, how can teachers and teacherpreneurs identify their unique brand voice? Because we're all teachers, but we're still different. So how can we identify our unique brand voices?
It's a process. You have to think about who you are. You have to think about your values. You have to think about, that core, and the core has so many different elements to it. And I actually, Lenidra is going to actually give you a link to my core brand guide, which can kind of give you some steps to start the process in trying to determine your brand voice. But you can't have a brand voice if you don't know your brand personality. And if you don't know who you are, and if you don't know what you stand for, then you're going to be disjointed. So identifying your unique brand voice it's not as easy as it seems. Again, you have to be willing to do the work to actually find out who you are and who your audience is in order for it to connect and resonate the right way. So there's exercises in that workbook that you can give them the link and they can kind of try and figure out their brand voice. But it's not easy because when you think about brand voice, you also have to think about the tone and how you speak to people. You have established a brand, Lenidra, so much so that you can write something and someone will say, Lenidra didn't write that. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's part of your voice, and people will see it in everything that you do. Like I can see your stuff somewhere, or I can see something that your name is on it, but you didn't do it. And I'll know that you didn't do it because I have come to learn your brand voice and how you speak to people, not only in your voice, but in the creatives that you create. So brand voice has to be seen across everything. It has to be seen across your creatives. It has to be seen in the words you use. It has to be seen in the taglines you use. Every brand has certain verbiage that they use. There's some stick words that they use. Even Meg Thee Stallion, her brand voice, that's part of her brand voice, right? So, I think people don't you don't think of it in that way, but I mean, she's a brand and she's established that sound, and that's part of her brand voice.
I love that. I love that. Our brand voice is not just our speaking, it's what we create. And that's something I have tried very hard to do since starting my teacherpreneur business and going on this journey, being authentic and making sure that what I say, what I type, what I create, that it sounds and looks like it's coming from me. Whether it be if I'm being professional or just being, me, so that's
Mhm.
really, really important. So think about that, teachers and teacherpreneurs, identifying your unique brand voice. You want to be authentic. You want to think about what are your values, what tone do you want to put out, and just be yourself. All righty. So we're all teachers,
Absolutely.
but our brand voices can be completely different. We have 27,000 members in our group. We can have 27,000 different brand voices because we are all unique and we are all different. I love that. All righty. Next, once they have established their brand voice, so they've thought about what are my values, what is my tone, how do I want, to speak to my audience. They've established that brand voice. How can teachers or teacherpreneurs ensure that it's consistently reflected in their Canva creations? So that, like you said, if you see something from me, you reading it, if it's something that I wrote or something that somebody else may have written.
hmm Well, again, as you build your brand, you're going to have something called brand guidelines. Canva has now implemented that brand voice, part of Canva, so you can implement parts of your brand voice in there. But again, when you're talking about brand voice, you have to think about the tone in each situation, because you're not going to speak to someone at the mall the same way you'll be speaking to someone who's in bereavement, you know. So that's very, very important. I've seen it in Canva, but I haven't played enough with the brand voice part of what they have in
Mhm.
the Canva right now to actually speak on that. But you just want to make sure that you're not too generic. Again, that authenticity is what's going to stick with your audience each and every time. And so it doesn't matter what you're talking about, just make sure that you're being true across the board.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned you're not going to speak to everybody the same. So for those of us, whether you're a teacherpreneur or a teacher, when you're creating something in Canva, if you're creating it for your students, it may sound different than if you're creating it for your principal or for a
Right.
parent. All righty. It may sound different if you're creating it for your business. What I'm creating for my students is one thing, but when I'm creating something for you all, for my business, for Facebook or anything like that, I have to think about who am I creating this for? And that's why I always tell you all, when you're going inside of Canva, have a purpose. Think about, who am I creating this for? What message do I want to put out? And your brand voice can speak to those things. All righty. This is good. And I'm learning a lot. I feel like my brand voice is going to get a little bit bolder now. All right. What would be your top 3 tips for teachers or teacherpreneurs looking to make a memorable and impactful brand impression through their design and their materials?
Um, One, be authentic. Um, Two, know your audience. That's very, very important. And that goes back to how you're going to speak to people. You have to know your audience. And three, hmm, be creative. Um, don't put yourself in a box. And Canva is the perfect place for you to like use your imagination. I was going to say something else, but I'm going to stick with the be creative because I really want to stick with the brand core as well. The core
Okay.
communication and creative. So be creative. Don't put yourself in a box, but make sure that you're being original enough so that when people see your stuff, it stands out. Again, let's go back to the Nikes, let's go back to the Targets, let's go back to the Burger Kings, let's go back to American Express, let's go back to FedEx. FedEx has all these different divisions, but they have different brand colors, but the logo is about the same. And so that's tiered branding, which is way out there. But I mean, you may get to that point where you have different tiers of your businesses as teacherpreneurs, or if you're a teacher, you may be teaching multiple grade levels, so your things may have to look a little bit different. So just be creative in what you do, but make sure that it has some consistency to it.
I love that. I love how you mentioned that even as a teacher, teaching different grade levels. And that happens. I see that a lot, teaching different grade levels and what you're creating and how you're producing it or putting it off for one grade level may not match with another.
Right.
Something she mentioned about being authentic and being creative. You know, I always tell you all start with the template, but then I also make sure I say make it your own. So even if you're starting with the template in Canva, I'm not trying to stress you all out about starting from scratch every time. I don't start from scratch every time. But even if you're starting from a template, you're finding a good template with that foundation, make it your own. That's where that authenticity and that creative comes in. Make it your own. Go to your brand kit, put in your colors, put in your logos, go to your brand voice and make sure that it's sounding like you, not just the generic template that everybody else is using. Make it your own. Be authentic, know your audience, and be creative. I love that. I'm going to add those tips inside of the group as well. I love that. All righty. Next, are there any common misconceptions about branding that you often encounter when working with educators?
Absolutely. The first is they don't think they're a brand. That is just it. They don't think that they're a brand, or they're afraid to look at themselves as a brand.
Mhm.
Educators think almost like tunnel vision school, unless they are trying to have a side hustle. And they need to, before you can even have a good side hustle, you have to start thinking in everything that you do. You have to think that I'm a brand, I'm a walking brand. You have the people like Grant Cardone and all these people who are like Gary Vee, people who are actually walking, talking brands. And they didn't start with books and all this stuff that they have. They didn't start being on stages with thousands of people or whatever, but it's that mindset. The mindset is key. And so as an educator, you have to put yourself in the mindset that you are a walking brand. Every day you put on whatever you put on, if you're putting on a t-shirt that has your school logo on it, you're a brand, but you're representing their brand as well. Or if you wear heels every day, or if you wear hats every day, or whatever, you are building your brand, and people are come to know and see you as that person based on what you do. So you're also building your brand personality when you do those things.
I love that. I love that. Teachers, we are a brand. I love that.
Yes.
We are a
Teachers
brand.
are a brand.
And
Yes.
that's true because now I'm thinking about even I've been at a few different schools, but I'm thinking about at different schools, there are certain teachers where when you see them, like that's their thing. I have one teacher
Mhm.
where she always wore, when you said the heels, that was her thing. She always wore her heels. She was fly walking through the school with her heels on, but you knew that that was just her thing. It was authentic. She
Right.
was being herself. I love that. All righty. I'm just checking over to see if we have any questions coming in. Someone asked, how do you join the Camera Creation Lab? I'll share a link for that. I see some of my teaching queens, they are recapping. Thank you all for the notes that you are putting inside of the comments for everything. All right, so no questions. If you have any questions, please make sure that you drop them inside of the comments, and I'll do a better job with making sure that I'm checking the comments as well. All right. Next up, many educators are passionate about teaching, but might not be familiar with branding. What advice would you offer them as they embark on this journey? Like they're teaching, they've been doing it for a while, and now after this interview, they realize, hey, I'm a brand. Now they're ready to embark on the journey. What advice would you give them?
They need to commit to doing the work. They need to
Mm,
commit to actually starting to build that brand. There's no other way around it. A lot of companies, or I won't even say companies, but a lot of entrepreneurs, because they don't start thinking of the branding, they just start with the selling, or the logos and stuff like that. Again, it becomes disjointed. It's almost like you're at the end of the race before you even started the race. You're not even in the the part where you're getting ready to start the race. And so you don't want to do that, because you find yourself backtracking. So if you start from the beginning doing the work the right way, then you'll come out better.
I like that. Start from the beginning. And this is going to stay up inside of the group. So I'm going to be adding this to the guide section. So you all please make sure that you watch this if you're interested. Well, not interested. Everybody, you're a brand in here. So I need you to get your brand voices
Your
together.
brand.
So if you need to catch this replay, please make sure that you do that. But I love that. Commit to doing the work and build your brand. I like it.
Mhm.
Start fresh. If this is your first time hearing and knowing that you're a brand. So go ahead, start doing the work. Make sure you catch up on these notes that are in the comments. All righty. Are there any questions? I'm going to open the floor up. Are there any questions for our brand voice builder? I love that. It's trademark. Do not come for her unless she sends for you. Please. Does
That's a
anyone
running
have?
joke between Lanidra and I because she knows some stuff that I had to go through with trademarking. But but
Yeah, we
yeah,
have different.
as you build your brand, you should also think about trademarking. That's very important. If you have something that is proprietary enough that people will love it or people like the name, it's hard out here in these internet streets and these branding streets and these business streets. And
Ah,
people will see your stuff and they will actually take it and or try to take it.
I'm a
So,
witness to that.
that's a whole nother conversation on trademarking. But as
Wow.
you're building your brand and you're building your businesses as teacherpreneurs, it's important to think of all the things. Not just some of the things, but all the things.
All the things. Yes,
Hmm.
I trademarked my business name, and I've
Hmm.
recently been coming up with some ideas that I know I was the first, and some stuff has been happening. So I'm having a follow up conversation with my trademark attorney next week
Hmm.
to make sure things are under control. All righty.
Yeah.
I have a question in the comment. Ursula, thank you for joining us. She is asking, what if you have no idea where to start with identifying your brand as a teacher?
Call me. No, no.
Call them.
um, well, okay. So when you are building a brand as a teacher, and you're trying to identify your brand, think about the things that you enjoy doing. Think about the things that make you smile. Think about the things that are deal breakers for you. Think about your values. Think about all the things that um, encompass who you are as a person. We're talking about personal brand. So think about all the things that encompass who you are. And I believe that that brand core guide that you'll be able to download is going to help you tremendously because it kind of talks about those things and puts a couple of things into perspective for you so you can answer the questions and get a better handle on where you are in terms of your brand and where you want to go with your brand or the type of brand that you want to have. A lot of times people talk about building a business or having a brand and they don't even know where they want to start. A lot of times I tell people all the time, you need to make sure that it's not just a hobby, because there are expensive hobbies and then we're building a brand.
Yes.
And so when you're building a brand, that means that you have to be in it for the long haul. Brands are not built overnight. And so those brands that you see, multi-million dollar brands and things of those natures, it took them 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years to actually pop off. And I think a lot of times people get discouraged because they think when they see all this stuff online and, oh, they're making so much money and all that stuff, people lie. Trust me. you know, things are there are a lot of illusions online. I'll say that there are a lot of illusions online, and you may have people that's making a lot of money, but it's not as easy as it sounds. It's not an overnight success. So I want to put that out there for anybody who's a teacherpreneur right now, and you feel like you aren't making progress. Every time you do something towards your brand, you're making progress. So everybody under the sound of my voice is a walking millionaire, as far as I'm concerned.
I love that.
But Ursula, identifying your brand as a teacher, go through the workbook. And I think that that will help you put a lot of things into perspective and with identifying your brand and where you want to be. You have to think about your brand as what type of brand you actually want to have. What do you want to represent as a teacher? What do you want to represent to your students or to the parents or to the community at large? All those things play a factor.
I love that. I
And I hope
love
I
that.
answered your question.
All right. Are there any other questions? Feel free to drop them in the comments. Okay. She says, I think you did answer the question. She says, thank you. I look forward to
You're
download.
welcome.
All right. Let's see. One of my OTQs has a question. Let me see if I can read it. I have a Facebook group that I have had for a while, and people call her the Save All Fives lady. I have a course set up to show people saving strategies, yet haven't presented it yet. It was just an easy way for me to make friends to come often. If I haven't done a class before, but am passionate about it, is there validity in presenting without being a financial person, not having done any classes before? All right. So she's a math educator.
Yep, and she loves sharing strategies. So
Yes.
my response to that is absolutely, Maxine. You're saying that you haven't done classes before, but you have because you're a mathematics educator. So if you're an educator, you've done classes, and if you've done classes for students, then you can do classes for adults. Period. um, so and if this is your passion and you have a lot of experience in it, you don't necessarily have to have a degree in it to have it be valid. You know what I mean? If you have that expertise, then why not share it? I think a lot of people get tied up in, oh, I don't have a degree in this and I don't have a degree in that. My first degree was in accounting, and I hated it. So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, but could I teach an accounting class? Absolutely. And I hate it still. You know, I think there's a misconception on what an educator really is. A lot of times people tie educators to school or, just being in the classroom, and that's not true. Most people are educators. Everybody. I try to learn something new every day. And if I can learn it from someone, that even gives it more value. So wherever you feel like your strengths are and you can add value, then that means that you can pull it off. I hope I answered your question.
So Maxine, get to work. She is one of my OTQs. She's in my digital artistry lab, and she knows I am big on accountability. So now that
Mhm.
you have put this out in the atmosphere, Maxine, get to work, ma'am. All right, get to work. All right. So I think she is happy with the response. Your validation is
Oh, thank you.
awesome. Awesome. See, we needed you tonight. All right. Are there any other questions? Any other questions? If you have any, feel free to drop. In the meantime, I am going to be popping that link up. Miss Peachy is giving us a freebie, a workbook to help us through all of these gems that she has dropped tonight. So please go ahead and go to bit.ly/my brand core. I put that correctly, right? My
Yeah.
brand core. Yes. So go ahead and check that out. Everybody, again, this is going to stay up in the group. So I want to give everybody an opportunity to check this out. I am also going to go ahead and type it inside of the chat. My brand. So make sure you check that out and grab that. She was kind enough to share her time with us tonight, kind enough to share this gift with us. So please make sure you get that. I am going to be downloading mine as soon as I finish with the tutorial tonight, because even though I feel that I'm doing an okay job with building my
You're
brand
doing a
voice,
great job.
I feel like I can always be better. All
Yes,
righty.
and actually that workbook, I'm actually expanding on it. So when I get the new version, I will also share it with the group so they can download the new one as
Awesome.
well.
Awesome. And she is a member of our community. So if you have any more questions here in the chat, I'm sure that she will have no problem with answering those questions in the chat. Thank you so much.
You're
Um,
welcome.
Everybody seems to have loved it. We are getting a lot of thank yous in the comments. Everybody is happy. Thank you again for sharing your knowledge. I'm just going to drop up some of these comments we're having.
I see Ursula's question.
So again, this is my very first interview inside of the group, and I like it. I think I may do it. Oh, where did I go? All right, so I'm just gonna hop up some of the comments that are up here. Ursula says she's been teaching for 30 years. She'll be transferring from traditional classroom to something else. Do you recommend any books or further education for future learning? Do you have a book that she can buy? So are you
On
asking about, I guess, a book on branding? I guess
branding?
because she's switching from one thing to another. Ursula, can you let us know? Are you interested in a book on branding? Okay, while you're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of the comments up. So this was awesome. Everybody likes it. Thank you so much. Let me see. Thank you, Anne, so much for all you did tonight. All right, yes, and thank you for. I think that was the Anne. I'm not sure because up here just says Facebook user, so I have to go scrolling back through in the group. Yes, that was Anne, another one of my OTQs and group experts. She was the one keeping you all up to date with all of the comments inside of the group that was going on
Okay, a
tonight.
book on
All
branding for
right.
career students. I have a couple of books I can recommend, so I will pull that list out and I will get it to you guys in the group.
All right. Thank you. Okay, I see the comment.
You're
A book
welcome.
on brand. All right. Awesome. All right, so I am going to go ahead and put that link back up again. Please, as soon as we get off of here, done with the tutorial, make sure you run your phone, your laptop, whatever you're
They've
on. Go
already
ahead to
started.
bit.
I'm getting
They've
the
started awesome.
notification.
bit.ly/my brand core. Again, I am going to grab mine as soon as we get off. She says she's going to be updating it and she will keep us up to date with it as well. All right. Thank you again so much for tonight. Thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Before we leave, is there anything else that you would like to share with us? Anything going on with you? Any offers or anything?
Yes. Well, I invite you guys to join our branding group, which is Facebook groups, Brand Building Basics. Lanidra is a part of that. Um, But one of the things I want to talk about is my Black Friday offer, and it starts Monday. And I will be giving Lanitra the code so that you guys can get $10 off the first month. So it's called Prism, and so Prism. This is the second year of Prism. I'm very proud of it, and this is a branding membership. But you have to be committed to doing the work. It's totally hands on, no joke. Dig in, and I keep people accountable. Like Lanisha keeps you accountable, I keep people accountable. But
We
what I
need
found
this.
out over the course of year one is that branding is so robust. People sometimes get overwhelmed with all the stuff that comes with that. So this year for Prism, I decided to break it out in tiers. So there are 3 tiers to Prism. It's the beginning level, which is Spark Starter, and it's 8 modules that take you through Prism and your brand core. So when we're talking about brand core, like you come out of Spark Starter knowing all the things. You will have your brand guidelines, you'll know your target audiences, the fundamentals of branding, all those things. And then there's level 2 for people who already have brands that are a little bit more advanced, and that's the Blaze Builder. And of course, that has a little bit more. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's a monthly. But you get the replays of all the co-workings we do and things of that nature. And then of course, there's the advanced, which is Idea Igniter, and that is high level, very high level. Everything at a high level. The things that the big brands do, that's what we do in Idea Igniter. And then of course, I have the Launchpad. The Launchpad League is totally about launching. So these are for people who need the extra support in doing launches for their brand. So if you have something coming up, that's for the Launchpad League, and that's $37. That's the cheapest, but you can't be in Launchpad League if you have not been in the first one, which is the Spark Starter. So 3 tiers for people who are just starting, people who are intermediate, and people who are very high level advanced. But that's brand architecture and all those other things. So that's
Not
out there. That's out there. But so yeah, so I will be giving Lanidra the code for you guys for her to drop it in the group. I welcome you to do the $10 off. Try it out for 30 days and um, you won't be disappointed. I'll say that. I have people who, Yvette, for instance, Yvette Temple, she has been in Prism and she has totally revamped all her stuff and she's in a much better place now. She said she was watching a replay today. She couldn't come in, but people have come to understand branding at a different level than just the colors or just the brand names or just the brand voice, because it's just so much more and all of it works together. And so um, you can't make a dish that tastes good if you don't have the right ingredients. I'll just say that. And
right.
branding
I
is
like
just
it.
so much. Branding is People say branding and they're thinking superficial, but branding goes so much under. There's so many levels to branding, and so in Prism, I'm giving entrepreneurs the opportunity to actually see it from a high level, a high perspective.
All right.
Okay, and so I
Someone
thank
says,
you. Thank you all.
so
Okay,
she can hear.
Nancy. So I'll give Lenidra the information and I welcome you all to come in. You can join my group again, as I mentioned, or you can follow me on Instagram, The Right Mix, or Color Me Brand. I'll be happy to have you. I'm on TikTok, The Right Mix. I don't really use TikTok though. So, you know, um, but yes, if you didn't know, I am just very passionate about branding because I think it's such a disservice. I think that um, a lot of small businesses and entrepreneurs just don't understand, and so they get to a certain point in their business and they're trying to figure out why they don't get more traction or why it hasn't gone beyond what they expected it to, and it's because of their branding. They just don't know that yet. A lot of it has to do with the branding. So I invite you to join Prism, and I thank you so much for inviting me, Lenidra. I had such a great time. You have an amazing, amazing community.
Thank you so much. And again, ladies and gentlemen, she is going to be giving me the code. So I will be sharing that inside of the group so you can check it out. Get $10 off of your first month. We already have a few ladies that are interested, and I'll probably be checking that out myself. All right. So again, thank you so much. Guys. We're about to jump into this tutorial. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
All don't leave yet. We're about to do our tutorial. But Peachy, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
You're welcome.
All right, that was awesome. Our first in-house interview. We're gonna have to do this more often. I like this. All righty. So we've talked about branding, building your brand voice, and understanding that even as teachers, we are a brand. We are a walking brand in our classrooms, in our schools, communicating with our parents. All righty. So now let's look at how we can take that brand voice, everything that we've just learned from Peachy, and how we can incorporate it into our Canva creations. That's where I come in. All righty. So we are going to jump inside of Canva, my happy place. Give me a second. Again, if you all have any questions along the way, go ahead and post them. I'm going to kind of be looking this way now because now I'm on my big screen because I'm jumping in the Canva creation lab. All right. So I am going to go ahead and let's see, share my screen. Bam and bam. So I think my screen is being shared. I'm going to wait a little bit, looking on the iPad, make sure I can see that. All right, let me go ahead. I forgot I have a banner up. So let me take this banner down. I'm going to drop that back inside of the group to make sure that you all can see that as well. Let me see. How do I want to do this? All right. You all know I'm new to this StreamYard with you all, so be patient with me. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how it needs to look on the screen so you can see the screen, you can see me. I just need it to all make sense. All right. Oh, no, that's not what I want to do. All right, so let me leave this alone now. All right, so hopefully you see me inside of the Canva Creation Lab. All righty. And I've already opened up a design. It really doesn't matter what size you're doing. It's just based on basically whatever it is you want to create. So I just jumped here to look at, okay, I just jumped over here to look at the size of an Instagram square. So it really doesn't matter. But what we want to do is we want to come over to the left side. I'm pausing just for a second because I want to make sure you see what I see. Perfect. I'm coming over to the left side. I'm coming over here to where it says brand because that's what we are focusing on. We're focusing on our brand. Usually when we talk about brand, we have always looked at our logos. We've looked at our colors. We have looked at the fonts, and now Canva, with all of their updates that they've been coming up with, you know, the magic and all of this, they have added brand voice. All righty. They have a bunch of other things over here that you may want to play around with, but tonight we're focusing on brand voice. The things that stood out to me the most with my interview with Peachy tonight is that our brand voice, it is authentic, how you speak and connect with your audience. Think about what are your values, what is the tone that you want to put out there. All righty. So whether you're creating for your students, you may have a different tone than if you're creating for the parents, than if you're creating for your customers. So your tone is going to be based on who your audience is. So you need to know your audience. You need to know what are your values, what's important to you as a teacher, what's important to you as a business owner, and then you want to put that tone out there. All righty. So you're going to click over here for add your brand voice. And then it says to describe your brand's unique personality and how you communicate with your audience, the things that Peachy told us about. Your voice is an important way to attract people to your brand, create connections, and build trust with them. For example, it says our voice is confident, casual, and friendly. All righty. And when I thought about that, it made me go over, and I lost the pages. it made me go over and I'm thinking about other businesses that have different brands. And all different businesses, they have words that describe what their brand is. Are they bold? Are they confident? Are they friendly? Are they transparent? So all of those things are important when you're thinking about what your brand is. So for my brand, one thing we know, or what I try to do with my brand, is I'm just going to put a few things here. So I'm going to put our voice is, we're friendly, transparent. Try to be transparent with you all. And put knowledgeable and casual. I'm not usually too formal with you all. So I'm just going to add that and I'm going to save it. So I'm going to save this to my brand kit. So it has it saved as my brand voice. All right, I want to make sure. All right, so I have this saved as my brand voice. Now, once I'm ready to create something inside of Canva, remember, a lot of times we start from a template, and I always tell you, start from a template and make it your own. So let's say you have something typed up or you want to type something up. You want to make sure that it sounds like it's coming from you. That was a huge compliment that I heard from Peachy. She says that when I'm speaking, or even if she sees something that was created by me, she can tell if it's me based on how I sound inside of that creation. So that lets me know that I'm doing a pretty good job with my brand voice, because I want everything that comes from me to sound and look as if it's coming from me. So I'm considerate about the words that I'm using, because I want it to sound like me. I don't want it to be too formal, because that's not how I interact with you all. That's different now if I'm interacting with my parents. When as a teacher, I'm interacting with my parents, I'm a little bit more formal. But here in this community and in my business, I'm more casual. I'm a little bit more laid back. I'm friendly. I'm transparent. So that's what I want to come off inside of my brand. All righty. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to come to Magic Write, because that's one of our favorites in the Magic Studios. And here, remember, you just say you're going to write 5 or more words to describe what you want to write. So let's say I want to write an advertisement for a, let's say for a master class. I want to generate it in my, I forgot to put that part. I'm going to generate it in my brand voice. Advertisement. And yes, of course, you spelled advertisement wrong. I'm going to generate it. All right. So it should be using the tone of friendly, transparent, knowledgeable, and casual. And then I'm going to change the brand voice, and type the exact same thing so we can see what changes it makes to it. So here it says, introducing the masterclass you've been waiting for. Join experts and enthusiasts from around the world as they share their insider knowledge and teach you how to master new skills. Get ready to take your learning to the next level. All righty. So I'm going to keep this here. I'm going to make a copy of it. And now I want to change the brand voice, because this does sound friendly. It's casual. It's not as formal. It's a little bit more laid back, but it's still knowledgeable. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to change my brand voice. So I'm going to come to edit. And now I want to change it to formal. To the point. I want to be a little bit more straightforward. I'm going to save that. I'm going to come back over here to Magic Write. I think I said advertisement. I don't know what's going on with me in the word advertisement today. And I'm generating it in that brand voice. I want to see. Right. So let's look at this one. We see it's a little bit shorter, so it is to the point. All righty. And these are just examples. I didn't take time to really think about, again, you want, when you're doing it for yourself, you want to really take time. It's not going to be something that's just this quick, but I just want to show you how you use it. When you're doing your brand voice for you being a teacher, or for you being a teacherpreneur, you really want to take time to sit down and think about what Peachy shared with us tonight. The 3 C's: core, communication, creative. Those tips: be authentic, know who your audience is, and be creative. Know what are your values. What tone do you want to have? So I wouldn't just sit here and come up with this quick. I just want to show you how to find the brand voice, how to enter your brand voice, and then how you can use Magic Write with that so that you can come up with your brand voice, have your brand voice inside of it. So this one is a little bit more straightforward, formal, and to the point. Master your craft with expert-led masterclass. Learn from the best in the world and take your skills to the next level. Enroll now. Very straightforward, a little less wordy than up here. All righty. So this tutorial, it was quick. The main thing I wanted us to focus on tonight was that interview so that you can understand, one, what a brand voice is, and two, how as an educator, you can understand that you are a brand. I don't want us just thinking about brands as being as, oh, I'm not a business owner. You are a brand in the classroom, from how you set up your classroom, the communication that goes in and out of your classroom with your students, with the parents, with your administrators, with your coworkers. As a teacherpreneur, teacherpreneurs, we're teachers, but we still have our own businesses on the side. How are you communicating and connecting with your audience? All righty. So that's what I wanted us to focus on. And then take those things, take some time. I'm going to put the link again inside of the group so that you can get that workbook that Peachy offered us. And then take some time to figure out, what is your brand voice? How do you want to be seen and heard? How do you want to connect with your audience? So take some time, come up with that brand voice, and then come here inside of Canva, go to brand. I'm going to take this out because I do not want this to be saved as my brand voice, because that's not me. That's not how I speak. I'm not formal and to the point like that. I'm more laid back and transparent and friendly and things like that. So we're going to come to brand voice. Go back to the beginning. Once you come to brand, you're going to come down to brand voice, add your brand voice. You have up to 500. Actually, my brand voice, when I did it for real, it was a lot longer than this. I even included the name of my business inside of my brand voice, so that when I create things, it sounds like me. It includes the name of my business. It includes the name of this group. It included the name of the Digital Artistry Lab, so that when I'm creating things, it really sounds like me. It mentions my name. It mentions what I want to be known for. It mentions who you all are, my audience, you all, educators, teacherpreneurs. I included all of those words inside of my brand voice, so that when I'm creating things, it sounds like it's talking to you, and it sounds like it's coming from me. So that's what it is when we're doing our brand voice. We want it to sound like it's coming from us, and we want to sound like we're speaking directly to one person. So if my audience that I'm creating for at the time is a student, it needs to sound like it's speaking to a student. So a student can read that and know, oh, she's talking to me. Or a parent can read it and say, she's talking to me, the parent. My customers can, and my adult students, you all can read it and know, oh, she's speaking directly to me because of the authenticity that I put inside of it. And that's what you want when you're building your brand voice. All righty. So again, take some time, come inside of your brand kit, go to brand voice, think about what your brand voice is. What is your unique personality? How do you want to be known for connecting and communicating with your audience? What are your values? What tone do you want to put out there? All righty. So that is it for the tutorial tonight. We had an amazing, let me stop sharing. We had an amazing interview with Miss Peachy. I really appreciate her for taking the time to do this. And I love it, Maxine. Thank you. We had an amazing time going through this. We are going to have to do some more interviews here. And again, she is already a part of our community. I didn't just bring somebody from the outside. She is a teaching queen. She was an educator, and she's doing amazing things. And I love how she is helping to show us educators how we can develop and build our brands. So if you have any more questions for her, you can still drop them here inside of this chat, because she is a member of our community. And I'm sure she would love to continue answering those questions here inside of the comments. Again, make sure you grab that workbook that she is gifting us. I'll put that up one more time. Again, it is inside of the group. She is also going to be sharing the code where she is giving us $10 off of the first month if you join her membership for branding. So with me, we're working on creating all of the things. With her, she's helping you to understand how you can brand, how you can use your brand voice in those Canva creations. So Teamwork makes the dream work. All right. So that is it for tonight. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you have any questions for me or for Peachy, make sure you drop them inside of the comments. Whether you're joining me on Facebook in my Facebook group, Canva Creations for Teachers and Teacherpreneurs, or if you're joining me on my business page, Canva Creations and AI Artistry, or if you're joining me on my YouTube page, hey, welcome. This is my first video there. I'm trying to build up my subscription over there. So hey, thank you for joining. Or if you're watching inside of Peachy's groups, thank you so much for joining us. This was great. And I am going to let you all enjoy the remainder of your Friday night. Enjoy your weekend. Whenever you go on your Thanksgiving break, mine is all next week. Yay. Enjoy your break and have an amazing Thanksgiving. Alrighty. I will see you all inside of the group. Start a new post if you're in my group. Let us know what you think about this interview. Did you like it? What was your favorite part? If you have any questions, and do you want us to continue doing things like this inside of this community? All righty. So I'm going to go ahead and let you all go. Again, enjoy your evening, and I will see you inside of the group. Good night.